Hello? Hi. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had my mic muted, I didn't notice. So I'll try and say everything that I said again. So this is Super Metroid Redesign, any percent glitched. If you caught my run earlier in the marathon, that was any percent no major glitches, and that was over 2 hours of just having to go through everything that the game throws at you. Having to find all 12 Chozo Guardians to unlock terrain and beat the game. And it's actually kind of funny that this run can be done because of the way that Drusiv built this hack to be super restrictive. Basically, he built it such that you can't just really wall jump and bomb jump wherever you want to skip things. You can skip some things, but his intention is either to make that impossible or very, very difficult. So if you haven't seen me play this, if you didn't see me play this earlier, then just know that this hack is very, very large, and some parts of it are brutally, unfairly difficult. Physics are very heavy. Your abilities are kind of gimped. You can't wall jump right away. You have to actually go get an item to be able to do that. But yeah, so this can be beaten in under an hour. And the way that I'm going to beat this is actually it goes against every intention that Drew had with this hack. But it's something by his own design that makes this possible. So you might have seen the glitched category in Vanilla Super Metroid, where you get stuck in a door, like you get X-ray early, you get stuck in a door, you X-ray climb out of bounds, which is a pretty well-known glitch to get out of bounds. And then from there, you do some out-of-bounds movement to get yourself to a certain spot the game doesn't expect you to be at which using the X-ray visor will corrupt the memory, and it will actually set the escape flag for you. So that's how any percent glitch is done in vanilla. But the way it's done in Redesign, it's similar, but it's actually a much simpler and more elegant way of doing it. And we touched upon this in the commentary for my No Major Glitches run earlier, but we had more pressing things to talk about at that time, so we didn't really get around to fully explaining it. Got the pirate dodge this time. I didn't get that in my run earlier. It's a pretty neat trick to avoid taking 33 damage, because the enemies in this hack hit really hard. Need to farm this guy to get missiles. And I didn't get destroyed by the cargo bugs this time, that's nice. So before I explain more about how glitching this game is achieved, I'm going to mention that this hack came out in 2006, and a lot of people, when they tried to play this, they complained about how bad the design was, and how great the hack was aesthetically, how well built it was, but just how frustrating it was to play, and that they couldn't do it without save states. It wasn't enjoyable. They needed they wished changes were made to it to make it more fluid and accessible to people. Now this kind of criticism really caught Drew's attention when a person by the username of Axial posted a Let's Play of Redesign on the Something Awful forums. This Let's Play was over 24 hours long, and included at least dozens of deaths. I'm not exactly sure how many, but it was just it was a pretty awful Let's Play. But one thing that this Let's Play did is it highlighted how bad a lot of the design decisions were in this hack. So it caused Drew's attention. He's like, okay, this is something that I need to fix, because I'm tired of people hating on my hack. I want to give the people who quit it kind of a reason to maybe play it and actually finish it. So over the next 9 years, he worked on basically retooling and rebuilding this hack to make it more accessible, make it easier, he claimed. Just make it more accessible. This hack forces you to do some not really advanced techniques, not too advanced, but you do have to do things that somebody who's fresh and new to Super Metroid might not be comfortable with. You have to wall jump in this, and that can be pretty difficult, especially with the changed physics. Wall jumping is really not that easy. And yes, more spawns necessary to progress. He unlocks some doors that I need to open later. So, I don't know why the door in his floor is open. I touched on that in my other run. It's kind of weird. But I do have to kill him. So anyways, 2015, he came out with a remake of this hack called Super Metroid Redesign Axial Edition, named after Axial the Let's Player. And he fixed up a ton of the things that made playing through this really annoying. He tweaked the physics. The physics are still heavy, but they're a lot more manageable, and you can jump a lot further forward than you can. In this, you cannot really get any sort of horizontal distance going with the jump until you have other items. Axial Edition also had better quality of life features, like a hint system, so if you're super lost, you don't know where to go. it'll lead you in the right direction. When you jump and break the water line, the game actually lifts you up out of it. One criticism of Redesign being that the water was difficult to jump out of. And it had some features that made the semi-advanced techniques accessible to new players. So it had auto-morphing in some tunnels. This game requires you to mid-air morph in some places, and some people just don't have the reflexes to do that, especially if they're not used to SM. So the auto-morph helps with that in some places. It's got auto-wall jump, where you don't have to time the wall jump press. You can just press away from the wall while holding jump the whole time, and it'll do it for you. And it's also got stuff like Shine Spark aligning. In certain places, your Shine Spark will snap to a shaft you're supposed to spark up. Which is basically things that make all these things possible to do for someone who's never played Super Metroid. Now, the level design aspect of the changes that he made, he added a lot more really confusing puzzles, mostly gate puzzles and morph ball puzzles in your way. Find the air slash shot slash bomb tile, that kind of stuff. He also made Turian a giant pain, turned it into a fortress. If you saw me do Turian in this, it's longer, more Metroid-ish, but it's still pretty straightforward. It's an absolute fortress in Axial Edition. There are purple doors everywhere. Purple doors are the doors that take 25 missiles to open. They're absolutely everywhere. You have to do this long, complicated puzzle where you have to find all of these Zebatites and destroy them to destroy death lasers that are in your path that will kill you. And the whole thing just takes... It can take hours if it's your first playthrough. He also tried really hard to fix all the sequence breaks that were in Redesign. He actually, I did early screw attack in my run earlier, and he did things like, he changed the layout of the room so that you couldn't shine spark into the alcove anymore. He made this stupid gate puzzle that's random that you have to do to get screw attack, and the only way that you can get in without space jump is to IBJ. And what he did in version 1.0 was he actually put special invisible blocks that actually removed the bombs from your bomb counter while you're trying to IBJ. So you try to IBJ up to screw attack and it just doesn't work. Your bombs just run out arbitrarily at some point during it and you just fall. So he's just like, yeah, you can't get screw attack early, go get space jump. Which really sucks that he started doing things like that to Axial Edition, because it restricts your freedom as a player. It doesn't reward you for ingenuity anymore, so you're like, oh, I could do this really cool thing to get screw attack early and, you know, destroy Batoon and get all this crazy movement and stuff early, like I was able to do in Redesign. And he's just like, nope, you can't do that anymore because I don't want you to, because I made this game easier for you and I don't want to make it too easy. So he's just kind of got this control freak nature about the remake of this hack. He also had special blocks in some places that remove blue suit, in case you were trying to like shine spark to places that he didn't want you to. It was just like absolutely asinine. And the biggest thing that he did, probably the worst defense that he's made with the remake, is he made it so that if Samus is not in the camera, which usually happens when she's out of bounds, then you instantly die. he didn't want people breaking his game with X-ray. He didn't want anyone skipping anything. It was just really, really insane the lengths that he went to code special things to remove all of that. And that's one of the things that turned me off from running Axial Edition at first. Some of these things have been kind of toned down in later releases, but he's not done working on it, so I haven't done a run of it yet, even though it is out. But just like to the point where you're killing the player instantly for trying to go out of bounds. And there were a lot of false positives with that too. He had a lot of camera scroll issues in his hack that were just a result of bad placement of scroll objects that were his fault. And they would just kill the player for no reason, all in the name of preventing sequence breaking. So what's really funny is that he went to such lengths to code stuff in a remake of this hack to prevent the player from doing anything that he didn't want the player to do, including going out of bounds for any reason. Not even just going out of bounds. If you manage to get the camera off of the square of the map that Samus is in, you just die, whether you're out of bounds or not. But what's really funny about this is that the thing that I'm going to use to trigger the escape in this game is something that he coded himself and placed in the game. This part is really difficult. So I'll get to talking about that after. This thing I'm about to do is, if you saw my run earlier this week, then you saw me do this. This is where instead of going back to Spore Spawn's room and getting the first intended super pack from there, I'm gonna go right instead and get my first super pack from inside a pit of spikes. And then do a really precise wall jump to a high ledge that I'm not supposed to get to get to Redesign earlier. This actually saves a lot more time in the glitch category than it does in NMG, because I wouldn't get... So this bypasses Charge Beam, because it's not on my way anymore, and this also ends up bypassing a 10-pack of missiles that I'd otherwise be able to pick up easily. But because I don't need Charge Beam at all in this category, I don't have to go back for it, so I don't lose the minute later that it's going to take me to go and get it. So it's more free time saved by doing this. Single wall jumps are extremely difficult. I just did 2 of them seemingly effortlessly, but they are really hard without high jump. This section of the game is really deadly because I'm not really supposed to be here yet, and it's basically force damage. I had to roll out of that tunnel and into spikes. This is the one death that I had in NMG. I have not actually been able to complete a marathon run of Redesign without dying yet. There's always like one death. And it's understandable because there are a lot of places in this game where you can die very easily, but the places that I've died in marathons so far are just pretty stupid. It's like, I die in a place where I really shouldn't have died, and then I go the rest of the marathon deathless. Not dying in parts that I would expect to. I'm still gonna have to fight Kraid, so I'll get rid of that door. It's an ammo management thing. Ammo management is super, super important in this hack. Lack of charge beam and lack of ammo results in a lot of ammo management, a lot of farming being necessary, and making sure that the ammo that you get in a farm session lasts you until the next time you can fill up. This is one of the most well-known sections of this hack, the heat run. This is required. Casual playthrough has to do this. Super does as much damage as 3 missiles. Generally. I'd just like to apologize, I'm not super great at commentating and playing this at the same time, so bear with me. It's 3 in Redesign and Vanilla. Missiles do 100, Supers do 300. If you're looking at doors, then a Super counts as 5, but that's only doors. Surviving this is basically all about having good movement. Supers count as 5 for the purposes of doors. Doors aren't enemies that have HP, they work differently. I'm gonna farm supers here. So there's actually something that I never got around to explaining in the NMG run because there is so much to explain already. I guess I'll talk about that now. Is how do I begin to explain this? This is kind of complicated, but item drops from enemies in Redesign are kind of bugged. Because, so an enemy can drop one of 6 different things. It can drop nothing, it can drop small energy, it can drop large energy, it can drop missiles, supers, power bombs. And each thing it can drop has a value for its drop chance. Now, in Vanilla Super Metroid, for every enemy, all of the drop chances add up to 255. And the way that the drop routine works is it's coded specifically so that if you're full on supers and power bombs, then it'll take the drop chances for supers and power bombs and it'll distribute that drop chance among the missile and the energy drop chances. So if you're full on supers, the enemies have a better chance to drop missiles and health. If you're full on missiles, then the enemies have a better chance to drop health. If you're full on health, the enemies have a better chance to drop missiles. So it all feeds back to the missile and health drop chances. But you cannot influence the chances of dropping supers or power bombs. So if you're full on missiles and health, those drops will just be converted to nothing. There's no way to use them to increase your chances of getting supers or power bombs. So that's how it's set up. That's how it's intended to work. But this logic completely breaks if you make drop chances for an enemy not add up to 255. And so back in 06, I don't think people understood the item drop routine. They just knew that there were the 6 values. So Drew wasn't aware that they had to add up to 255 to work correctly. So he didn't do that. He like messed with them all, and there are these crazy values for things. I'm gonna fill up on health here. I'm gonna be on my way to fight Crocomire now, and I have very low ammo, and I don't have charge beams, so this is gonna be a bit of a problem. It's a problem in every run. It's just you have very little room for error on that fight, so you have to make sure you have as many missiles as you can when you get into it. But back to explaining about the drop chances. So what happens is you can actually, in a lot of instances, influence the chances of super drops and power bomb drops, which is not intended. But it also has weird quirks, like sometimes you won't be able to get a certain type of drop when the logic dictates that you should. And one of the most annoying examples of this is, so in the first time you go to Brinstar at the start of the game, there is a red door to the left of the elevator. And there is a Zila, one of the brown googly-eyed crawling enemies. There's a Zila that respawns in front of that door that you're supposed to kill to farm missiles if you don't have 5 when you reach that door. The problem is that the way the drop chances for the Zila line up is that if you're not full on health, it will never drop a missile, and it'll always drop small health until then. This is not intended, this is a bug, but that's just how it works. And I've noticed a lot of these crop up. With the amount of time that I put into this game, I've become aware of most of the idiosyncrasies that affect your drops. So this is, person mentioned, I found, like, drop manipulations in this game, and that's what he was talking about, if you saw my run. That's IBJ, by the way. It is not easy like it is in vanilla. It's the timing is pretty hard to learn. It's not all that lenient, and if your timing isn't good, then your bomb pattern will start to desync, and the window for it will shrink, and you won't be able to do it eventually. So I'm coming back after opening the super door to fill up. Make sure I have as much as I can with Crocomire. Was it Fisk an Axial? No, it wasn't. Because I don't think he knew about it. Even then. Okay, he didn't troll me at all. That's a good crocodile fight. That's what's supposed to happen. So other things that happen as a result of this are gamuts, these stacks of 5 red bugs that are in Norfair. If you don't have either full health or full missiles, then they will never drop supers or power bombs, and this has been problematic in some situations, especially because in this game, they're not vulnerable to your regular power beam uncharged. So I have to kill them with missiles at the start of the game. It's my only option. Because I have to kill them with missiles, I will never have full missiles. And because you first encounter them in the heat run, you'll never have full health either. So, on my first pass on the way to get Ice Beam in the Hell Run, they'll never drop supers. I actually, once I have Ice Beam, I hit them up on the way back to try and get supers from them, because they actually, at that point, they end up being the most hassle-free way to get super drops. And at that point, I have full missiles from the missile refill station. So that's one thing that I figured out really recently, actually, that I could do that to get supers for the purple door that's blocking the area. Much less painfully than getting them from the Gigas that fly out of the wall when I'm trying to freeze the Rippers. Which actually, when I'm on my way out of that area, I wait until I have hit up the energy and missile refills in the room to the right of that before I go and kill them for supers, because that actually guarantees super drops from them. Okay, it doesn't really guarantee them, they can still drop nothing, but they're extremely likely to drop them. So there's like, there's a lot of points at this run that, I'll use all this knowledge that I've collected over the past 2 years to figure out what the best thing to kill an enemy with is to get a drop that I want, and this is not working out so well. So, these guys are a lot better at dropping power bombs. And I don't really need power bombs. I can do fine without them. I need at least one. But the reason I make sure to get... Oh god, I want a mock ball under this. The reason I make sure to hit up those guys is it would be faster to fill up on the gamuts in that room instead of the Zebs in the previous room. But the Zebs are much more likely to drop power bombs. The gamuts hardly ever drop them. And I want my power bomb count to be as high as possible because I'm going to Kraid. Kraid has a purple door in front of him. I'm going to open that purple door and blow most of my ammo, and I'm going to try and farm it back off of the singular Zeb that is in front of him. So the more power bombs I have at this point, the fewer times that Zeb is going to drop me a power bomb when I want it to drop ammo instead. So it's like, it's little things like that, because there's so much farming in this run, especially NMG. There's a lot more of that. It pays to know these kinds of things. Try and work it in your favor. The plan changes for Axial Edition from the current version that's released to the one that's being worked on now are mostly Flash Suit is being fixed, so that's not going to be possible. And Some things are being tweaked so that skipping high jump and grapple in low percent is possible. And he's also fixing a bug that has to do with that route, so... the things he's fixing actually won't affect casual play very much, aside from some minor bug fixes and, like, yeah, just minor things. If you want to play Axel Edition, then go ahead and play it. Alright. So I only wanted to use supers on this purple door, because it's a lot faster to get supers from that Zed than it is to get missiles. You wonder what Snick would say about this glitch run. Well, Snick was actually, Snick was the person that actually found the reason that this run works. I found it several months ago. And he actually, he made a task that uses the thing he found. It's much shorter than this run. Because the way he gets out of bounds is doable very early in the game. And it's not feasible for a human to do. Oh, I'm out of missiles, that's bad. Interesting thing that a lot of people don't know about the crate fight is one of these claws that's floating around will always have a drop, and the other one never will. So it seems like it's random, like that you frequently get nothing from the claws, but one of them always has something, the other one never has something. Crate Quick Kill wasn't really patched out so much as Crate's health was quadrupled and the rate of fire of super missiles was thirded. Is that even a word? The water physics are awful. They're a lot worse than in vanilla. This is a game glitch. This is really precise. This particular one saves about a minute 45 of just going through extra rooms. This is like a little shortcut down to getting grapple beam that you're only supposed to be able to take if you have weight beam. I think it is determinable by its spawning position. It should always spawn at the same place. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's correct. Okay, this is everyone's favorite save point. Because I'm about to go get grapple beam. And do the infamous grapple gauntlet, which many have perished in. Many entered, few came out alive, such as Redesign. do that because I don't have a whole lot of ammo right now. So what I'm doing, essentially, to prepare for this is... I need grapple and x-ray to get out of bounds. So here's grapple. Getting x-ray actually requires speed boosters, so I'm gonna have to go pick that up too. But yeah, here's grapple. And once you get to grapple's location, you can't get out without going through the grapple gauntlet. The door I used to get here locks behind you. Forgot what room this was. I thought this was a different room. Oops. It's fine. Why do I sometimes randomly leave bombs behind? Just habit. Boredom. Just screwing around in downtime. No reason. Alright, this room is terrible. So because this is glitched, I don't go through the whole game. I don't need the energy tank that's down here. And I'm dead. So yeah, that's the grapple gauntlet. I didn't die in the NMG run, but that is how easily you can die in this room. I was like just out of range of that grapple point I needed to hit. Oh, wow, that guy was not supposed to hit me. Excuse me. Alright, so if you saw my NMG run, you might have an idea of why I need grapple beam to get out of bounds. I guess I could talk about the way that Snick got out of bounds in his TAS. And what he did was he turned on Moonwalk, which, Moonwalk's a cool novelty feature. Lets you walk backwards slowly. It's pretty useless for the most part. But he had Moonwalk on. And what he did was, so if you pause on, I'm a little fuzzy in the details of this, and just try not to die here. If you pause on the same frame that, you know what, I might actually grab this energy tank just for safety. That might be a good idea. I don't normally grab it in this run, but I think I'll do it. Basically, if you know about pause abuse in Super Metroid, if you're familiar with the idea of a TAS doing chaining frame-perfect pauses through a heated section, this essentially, like, if you do it frame perfectly, you can skip the game checking you for 0 health and causing you to die. There we go. That's better. That was close. So in case you didn't understand how stupid Grapple Gauntlet is, now you know. But yeah, so the concept of pause views, it actually applies to door transitions as well. If you pause on the frame, like essentially that, or if your fade out occurs on the frame that a door transition is supposed to trigger. I don't know the exact detail behind it, but just basically a frame perfect pause. Just put it this way, a frame perfect pause will let you be touching the tiles for a door transition and not actually trigger it. So what he did with Moonwalk, since he moved very slowly as Moonwalk, is he chained a whole bunch of frame perfect pauses to be able to walk backwards through a door transition without triggering the transition. And you just end up out of bounds after that, because there's nothing beyond the door in most cases. So he was able to do what he needed to do out of bounds by just simply doing that, and it's easy to do early on. You don't really need any items for it. So he's able to get out of bounds and do what he needs to do without X-ray. I keep messing up. These cycles might be off now. Oh, these cycles are definitely off now. I'm probably gonna get hit on the way up. Oh, wow. It's a miracle. I actually didn't get knocked down. That shaft is tough without charge beam because I can't pseudo-screw the things. Is the X-ray not in the inventory in the top though? Because I don't have it yet. The main goal of this run that I'm doing is to get grapple and X-ray, and I haven't gotten X-ray yet. X-ray requires speed booster. I'm on my way to go get that. I have not used GT code. Getting to GT requires high jump, which I don't have. Either high jump or gravity. Neither of which I have. A GT code run would actually probably be longer than what I'm doing now. No, it would definitely be longer, actually. I don't know why I said probably. Unless you're like talking about something else in chat that I completely missed. So GT code actually does work in this hack, because this hack was made in 2006 and GT code was discovered in 2010. If you don't know what GT code is, it's the Golden Teresa debug code, and it's a code where you can, in the door transition to Golden Teresa's room, you can hold down A, B, X, and Y, and the game will give you like every item in the game except Screw Attack, as Firebat said. But yeah, that's pretty much been relegated to glitch categories, and it's actually pretty obsolete because in pretty much every case there's a faster way to glitch the game and beat it than to go all the way to Golden Teresa. So I skipped the Guardian that I normally would have gotten at this point that you saw me get in my NMG run. That has the side effect of I did not get its power bomb, so I don't have quite all the power bombs that I would want to get the speed booster. So there's a power bomb blockade in that room. There is another one there are two in this room. And there's one in the lava lake that's on the way to speed booster. So because there are two in this room, I have to skip the usage of a power bomb here, which you can actually do by bomb jumping over that. You can do it to this one as well, so you can actually make it through this all the way without using a power bomb, without even having them, in fact. I don't know why Drew did that, because you do need one in this room. There's no way around this one. Also, this lava lake is very scary. Laying that power bomb at the edge so that it doesn't kill the gamuts here, because I want to farm these guys and not have their drops stuck in the floor. Alright, some supers would be nice. Alright, that's good enough. Oh my god, I'm mad. I haven't done that in a while. Luckily this thing respawns. There we go. That was silly. I don't want to fall in here though, that's a death if I fall in here. So, overview of Speed Booster, in case you missed my run earlier in the week. You can't do taps to short charge. It checks a lot more run frames than just 4 of them. But you can start it with a stutter. So you can do like short charges that save a tiny amount of space, but nothing significant. Although it does make a difference here. So like here, I'm going to do a stutter. This is going to allow me to charge Speed Booster here, which I'm supposed to grapple across this lake. I'm not supposed to be able to charge there, but with the stutter, I can barely make it. This game also has Shrine Spark chaining from the GBA games, which looks really, really neat and awesome. It's one of my favorite things about this, is doing cool Shrine Spark chains. Alright, so I'll start talking about the actual thing that we do to end the game. If you saw my run, I keep saying this, if you saw my run, it helps a lot if you watched the NMG run earlier, and I'd say it's a fair bit cooler than this run. So like if you didn't watch that, go look for it in the highlights. It's definitely worth a watch, I think. But in it, you saw me do the 25-minute escape. The escape sequence in this game is insanely long. It's so long that I don't, Drew didn't want to have to play through the entire escape every time he wanted to test what certain room states looked like in it. So what he actually did was he coded a special block. I forgot to farm health. I hope I don't die. Come on, Gabe. He coded a special block that if you touch it, it triggers the escape sequence. and he used them in 2 particular rooms in Criteria. And what he did... what he did when he was done testing his rooms was he put them in ceilings, because they're actually objects. And it's a little bit more difficult to get rid of an object in a room that you don't want anymore than it is like a regular tile. So what he did with these blocks that trigger the escape is he put them inside the ceilings of the rooms that they are in, so that they're not accessible by the player. I actually need some ammo here to open a purple door. So, since they're in the ceilings of these rooms, if you're able to go out of bounds, you can just go touch the block, and it'll trigger the escape, and you'll be able to end the game that way. And the really funny thing about this, considering that I have to do a speedball here to get X-ray. This is a trick that he wanted you to do. But it's really funny, considering the lengths that he went to when he made Redesign Axial Edition to prevent the player from breaking the game in any way. There's actually code in Axial Edition that if you enter the Turian elevator without all 12 Guardians, you instantly die. Like, he wrote a lot of custom stuff to prevent you from quote-unquote cheating. So it's really funny that you can just you can just end the game in the original redesign with something that he created. Like, I'm going to go touch a block that he created, he coded, he made on purpose. Alright, I don't know why, but this doesn't work unless I save and reset. So I'm gonna do that. This was actually frustrating for a while when I was trying to run this, because I would get a good run up to this point, and then I would get to the escape block, and I would fail to trigger it. And I was just like, oh, well, I must not know how to do the out of bounds very well. I don't know what's wrong with me. I suck. So I practiced it over and over, and I would get it many times in a row in practice. And I would do another run, and I would just fail it, and until I figured out that it only worked in practice because I was doing it from a fresh save. Come on, there we go. Now, there are a lot of objects in the game that set event flags. The escape is just an event flag, but there are a lot of objects you can touch in the game that will set these flags. And you'll be able to see this during casual play if you notice that there are seemingly random earthquakes. What they generally do is they actually they set a bit to open up a wall somewhere that he put to prevent you from sequence breaking. So one example of this is Variasuit, is in the Norfair elevator room. You notice after you get Variasuit, after you go down the elevator, there's an earthquake. That's because there's actually there's an object that you have to touch it, and you have to have the Variasuit in your inventory. And once you do that, it actually gets rid of a giant wall that's to the left that prevents you from going that way if you don't have Varia. So, like, there's a lot of things that he just really didn't want you to sequence break, and he put artificial barriers that go away after hitting certain event flags. So when I trigger this, you're going to see a screen shake similar to that, because this is the same type of object as all those other ones that he made. So it's in the ceiling. I have to X-ray climb high enough to be able to touch it, and then I have to get back in bounds. There we go. Alright, so I have set the escape flag now. Where am I? So now that I'm out of bounds, I'm trying to make my way to the door on the far right of the room. It's a little weird because slopes do not function properly when you're out of bounds. You will, like, get stuck in a spin jump if you're on them. Alright. Alright, and we're in the escape. And we're at the very tail end of it, too, after all of the stuff that can kill you. What's cool is that this jump is supposed to be really difficult without your items, but you actually get to keep Speed Booster. One thing I guess I didn't mention is, can I short charge this? That'd be cool. Okay, no, but... Alright, so that jump is possible with Speed Booster, and that skips, like, all of the stupid underwater stuff in this room. That's time. So yeah, you saw this in my run earlier in the week, if you watched that, but you are supposed to lose your items for the escape. Mother Brain's supposed to strip you of all your items when she does her rainbow beam. So it's actually pretty funny that you can be in the escape with pretty much whatever items you want, whatever items you have at the time. How do you get stuck in the blue door in vanilla? So there are a bunch of ways you can actually get stuck in doors. You can get stuck in most doors by doing a really tiny spin jump to wall jump check the door. Because if you're in the spin jump pose and like the game checks to see if you can wall jump an adjacent wall. So that actually lets you touch the door tiles without being quite as close to them as you normally need to touch them. So you can get stuck in a door that way by triggering the door tiles from slightly further away than normal without any speed. But that's not good enough for the landing site where you need to trigger the escape in vanilla, because there's a slope block to the right of the door that it will push you out when you X-ray climb past it if you're not stuck deep enough. What you do in any percent glitch in vanilla is you have to wait for a zoomer to crawl in the doorway at the right time, and then you have to run into the doorway and shoot a super missile at the wall to knock the zoomer off and get hit by it, and the damage knockback actually gets you stuck in the door, because you get hit during the transition, but the knockback doesn't happen until after. So that's how you get stuck in the door for vanilla. So yeah, I hope I commentated that well enough. I'm not very good at talking while I'm playing, and I'm not very good at playing while I'm talking, so I did the best I could. So yeah. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't seen my NMG run earlier, check that out, because it shows off a lot more of the game, and it really shows how significant it is that you can just break the game like this. Alright, so I'm gonna throw it over to Kekim and show you. It's doing, I believe, Empire Strikes Back. So stick around for that. Thanks for watching.